Hi, this is Lynn Wilson with Lynn Wilson Originals, and I'm back here to take the next step on this buffet, and that is to see if we can sand the top. And as I mentioned before, we have this little problem area here, a dark ring that I'm hoping that sanding will lighten the color enough that I can still stain this top. So I have two tools that I use when I sand. I have this DeWalt orbital sander that I really like. My next step will be to get some sort of a vacuum system so that I can sand in my basement, because even though it has this little bag, it still seems to kick up a lot of dust. You can see the dust falling out right now, actually. The other tool that I use, which I'm not as much a fan of, is this little Black & Decker mouse sander. It doesn't have the horsepower that the other one does. I don't know if horsepower is the right term, but it's just not as strong. And I seem to wear out the tips really fast, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get into the tight spaces that the orbital can't get into. So when you're sanding furniture to refinish, you can start with a high grit, like a 60 or an 80. The lower the numbers, the higher the grit. And then you can work your way down through the numbers. Real woodworkers would take you all the way down, like 180, 150, or 60, 80, 100, 120. I don't go that detailed. I usually start with the 60, then I'll go down to maybe the 150, and then a 220. If you're staining, you never want to go any finer than 220, because you close up the wood and the stain doesn't stick. So I have those grits here in both of my sandpapers, but I'm going to start with the 60 right on this spot, because if I can't get rid of this, there's no point in going all the way down through the grits and trying to get a really nice surface. So this company, Klingspor, happens to be, they have a store not too far from me. They're based in North Carolina, I believe, but their sanding paper is my absolute favorite. It stands up, it's not that expensive, and I think it comes from Germany. Yeah, country of origin, Germany. And the guys at the store are super helpful, and I'm sure they're very helpful on the website as well. And when you're buying your sandpaper, make sure you get the right holes for your sander. Something I didn't know when I bought some at Lowe's. So it's gonna get a little loud. All right, having technical difficulty plugging it in. Okay, plan B is I'm going to plug this into the wall. And I'm going to get started right on this spot. Lighter. I don't know if you can see that. So I'll need to sand some more on this side, but I'm going to go back and see what reducing, getting a higher grit might do to this. So the next one I'm going to put on is the 150. Lightened it up quite noticeably. The other thing you might notice is when I turn my sander on and off, I always have it on the surface that I'm sanding. you won't, I think it prevents swirl marks, but when I turn it on and then put it on, I tend to not get it as even, so it's just a preference of mine. So let's see if the 220 gets into those grooves even better. So I'm pretty happy with this. I think it can blend right in. There's still some dark marks, but you know, that's just part of the furniture. That's part of the look of it. And you know, I'm always tempted to want to go like this with my sander and really try to dig in, but you can change the surface, you know, as I keep feeling it to see that I haven't, you know, changed the level of anything. So that's it. I'm going to sand the rest of this and I'll get back to you with the next step. Thank you. And I've sanded the top, and you can see that there's still sort of a dark line of the old finish butting up against this, I'm calling it a mantelpiece, I don't know what it's called, but the orbital sander cannot really get in there, and so this is when I'm going to use the mouse sander. And just like we did with the orbital sander, we're going to start with, you know, a rougher grit and work our way down. So I'm going to start with an 80. This is not one of my favorite sanders, but it gets the job done. So now I'll drop down to a 150 grit. And lastly, the 220. And that's that. There's still a little bit of a line, but it is lighter, and this piece has seemed to move, but there's some mechanisms in the back. This is the side that you actually can take off. This is the side that's been nailed on. So I think all I'll need to do is adjust this, and we'll be fine. So looking forward to doing the next step with you soon.